my YouTube channel. My name is Isabel Varela, and for today's topic, I'm going to be talking about how I got into $100,000 of debt in just clothing and how I finally paid it off. And listen, I know finances is uncomfortable to talk about, especially when it comes to debt. It brings headaches, it causes anxiousness, and overwhelm. But I believe once we finally face that debt, make a plan, then we can start to take action. I'm going to be covering 3 topics today. 1, how I got into so much debt. 2, the steps I took to finally face my debt. And then 3, how I paid it off and my relationship to money. I share my personal journey with you because I want you to learn from my mistakes. I believe that we can become debt-free, change our lives, and start living the life that we were meant to live. And it all starts with building a better relationship with ourselves. Topic number 1, how in the heck did I get into so much debt? Let's first start with, fashion was my perfect drug. I loved the hit of dopamine that I would get every time I would go shopping. At age 16, I had my very first retail job, and every single paycheck went to buying clothes. When I got my first credit card, I had a $1,000 credit line, and in 2 weeks, I maxed it out. By 19, I had 5 credit cards, and I would use them at various stores. And let me know down in the comments if you ever shopped at any of these. The stores included Bebe, Gap, Banana, Limited Express, Gadzooks, Forever 21, and many, many, many thrift stores. Imagine living in a big city where you're working 3 jobs to try to pay rent, food, and utilities. But a lot of those times, I would choose to buy shoes or dress rather than paying my rent, because nothing fed my appetite like a new pair of black shoes or a sexy dress. Every weekend, I would go shopping and get my hit of dopamine. But as soon as I got home, I felt stressed, overwhelmed, and guilty because I knew I couldn't afford any of these things. I knew rent was coming up and had no idea how I was going to pay. It got to the point where I had to continue applying for new credit cards so I could transfer all of my balances. I'd always apply for the credit cards that had a 0 APR for 12 months. I also knew what to say to credit card companies. All I had to do was call them up and say, hey, I'm having a really difficult time. I lost my job. Side note, I had 3 jobs. Yeah, I lost my job, and do you have any hardship programs and deferment programs or something that could help me out? Once I had my wake-up call at 26 years old, that's when my whole life changed. I got into counseling, got a full-time job, and put myself into a debt management program. And if you're interested in knowing what happened at the age of 26, I'll link that video, which is called Fashion Was My Perfect Drug. Topic number 2, how I finally paid off $100,000 of debt. Let's first start off with, I was horrible at finances, but no one knew this, and I hid it from every single person, especially myself. The first 3 things that I did was I gathered all of my bills, I got my credit report, and I started researching how to actually pay off my debt. And luckily, the first thing that popped up in Google was a company called CCCF. They're actually a nonprofit, and it's called Consumer Credit Counseling Foundation, and they're located in California. But what they did and how they helped me was to consolidate all of my credit cards, and they also got me a lower interest rate. At this point, I was desperate, and I just hoped that I wouldn't get screwed over or get into some kind of scam. But I was lucky because they actually did help me. I was with them for 2 years, and I did have to pay a monthly fee. That was $23, but it was worth it because it helped me to stay consistent. Because again, I had no idea how to handle my finances. After being with the debt management program for 2 years, then I started my snowball effect. And for any of you guys that have not heard about that, it's pretty much focusing on one bill, paying a little bit more than the minimum, paying the minimum on the other 2 credit cards, and then once you're finished with your first credit card, take that same exact minimum payment to add it to the second minimum payment, and it keeps going. So it's like snowball effect. The other things that I did was pick up a lot of side hustles. I did everything from tailoring, sewing, Airbnb, producing events, consulting, life coaching, creating clothes, art, anything and everything to finally get enough money to pay off all of this debt. My payments went from $25 a month to $2,000 a month. And it did take me 7 years to pay off all of the debt. However, the hardest thing was actually dealing with myself and staying consistent, because I would sabotage myself every now and then. For example, take 1 month. I'm consistent, I'm on budget, I'm barely spending anything, I'm cooking at home, I'm not going out, I'm not doing any extracurricular activities unless it was free. But then the following month, I would binge and just splurge. I'm taking taxis, I'm going out, I'm drinking, and spending all the money that I don't have. So I had to battle myself to stay on track. But the more that I worked on the relationship with myself, building more self-love, self-respect, I started to be even more assertive with myself and to build more boundaries. Which brings me to topic number 3, how I finally became debt-free and my relationship to money now. During the time that I was paying off my debt, I also had to make another sacrifice. I had to stop shopping completely for almost 2 years. And what's funny is my first goal that I told myself was I'm only going to stop shopping for 3 months. The ironic thing is, once I started seeing how much I was saving, then I started to add more months after that. It's like, let me see what happens if I don't shop for 6 months, 8 months. Well, shoot, I'm already at a year. Let me add 4 or 5 months to this. And it got to the point where I didn't shop for a year and 8 months. And the first thing that I had to buy was underwear, but stay tuned because I will be doing a video on my whole journey of not shopping for almost 2 years. During the time that I wasn't shopping, I had to find a healthier activity to replace my shopping addiction. And what I ended up doing was sewing, mending, repairing, and something that I realized that I never knew about myself was how resourceful I was. I started making face products, cleaning products, learning how to cook different kinds of meals, and I made it an educational year. I started reading more, and I started painting and creating pieces of art. The other thing that I did for myself was celebrating those milestones, because it took some work and it took some discipline, but it was worth it because at the end, I was able to pay it off. And then finally, I was able to start building my savings, emergency funds, and investing. And just as I share that the more that we build a relationship with ourselves and our clothing, the better it is for our planet. Ironically, it's the same thing with money, because the more that you take care of your money, the more the money will take care of you. And I also believe that the more that we build a relationship with ourselves, our relationship to money also gets better. Now that I've paid off my debt, I'm working on saving and investing, because now it feels way better to save my money than to spend. And if I do need to get anything, I always ask myself 3 things. Do I really need it? Is there something that I already own that can either be repaired or mended? And how many times am I going to wear this garment? Or how many times am I going to be able to use this item? I also purchase from brands that I personally know, or brands that are actually doing good for humanity and have a better quality than a lot of the things that are out there right now. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comment section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell so you stay up to date whenever I release new videos every week. See you soon!